I need your love. Ooh, I need your love. Welcome.
Yes. Yeah, we're just talking about Elvis, guys. I saw the movie yesterday.
I'm so lost now. Yes. Welcome to Why Are You Still Here? The show we talk about, Elvis today, apparently. And yes, Lucas just saw it yesterday. I saw it twice, once with my mom, once with my dad. And yeah, so it's directed by Baz Luhrmann. It stars Austin Butler, who does a phenomenal job.
Zero complaints.
And Tom Hanks, who
I have some issues.
He does a great job. People complained about only the accent.
Issue. That's the only thing I was going to say. Because I went and watched a video of him talking, the real Colonel Parker, today, and he didn't sound like Tom
I'll
Hanks
send
did
you
in the movie.
a video where he was older.
That's the funniest story ever came out. There was never no plan for him to do Stars Born. He told me to make the contract stiff enough where they would turn it down because he did not want to do it.
And he has an accent. Because there's two interviews I know of with him. One where he sounds like a New Yorker.
I did all the promotion, the outdoor advertising, and he did the show on the stage, and the fans made it possible.
That's exactly what I watched.
And another one where he has this accent that keeps coming out. And I think personally that he does have that accent. I mean, he was there in the Netherlands or Holland until he was like 23, I think, which was when he fled. So he has an accent. He most certainly has an accent, but he was going under this whole, facade of being from Kentucky. So I think that he purposely tries to overcome the accent himself. So Tom Hanks was playing like a more cartoonish version of Colonel Parker, but still like more the real version, in my opinion, at least. So, and Tom Hanks is awesome.
Tom Hanks, he's always Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And here is a picture of me. This has been shown on the show before, but
yes, baby Elvis.
Halloween.
That's actually baby Elvis, not Brandon.
Correct. Halloween of 2000, after my dad and I went to Graceland in Memphis.
Very good.
And I went to school like that, and people loved it. They really did. And I was signing autographs as Elvis and stuff. And there was this one kid, I'll never forget it. His name was James Penn. Yeah, that's right. You get your full name out there, buddy. Who was like, this is illegal. You cannot forge somebody else's signature. This is illegal. I'm going to call the cops on you.
You can.
And he was dead serious. Well, it doesn't even matter. I could go by the name Elvis and sign Elvis. I could go by the name Elvis Presley and sign Elvis Presley. I'm not saying, hey, this is a real legit autograph from Elvis, especially when I signed it right in front of you. Right. That probably looks like it was written by a little kid in a costume. So It was just the kid was an idiot. I mean, and illegal. Yeah. You sell a forged signature. It's illegal in the fact that the seller is going to get their money back, or the buyer rather is going to get their money back. They're not going to arrest you. Whatever. It's so stupid. I'll never forget that though. You know who you are out there. Wouldn't it be funny if you watched our show?
That'd be so funny. He's like sitting there in disbelief right now. Jaw on the floor.
Like I'm getting a shout out. That's so weird. So tell me, Lucas, all your thoughts and feelings.
I fucking love the movie, man. It was awesome. I mean, basically from start to finish, there's never a dull moment. Every performance was knocked out of the freaking park. I mean, to have Little Richard and BB King portrayed in this movie was fucking awesome. And they looked and sounded just like them. And it was crazy how close. I mean, obviously you could, the difference between Austin Butler and the real Elvis, but once you get into the movie, the accent was so on point.
Oh God, it was so good.
Oh my God, was it phenomenal.
Things are too dangerous to say. Sing.
Very, very good. And then on top of that, the costumes were so well done. It was like a period. It really was a period piece from all decades of his life. It was so fucking cool. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. I mean, I think like there were some parts, like I mentioned there, when like they were doing Suspicious Minds. I'm pretty sure he wasn't singing that when they were drawing up the contract, because it totally goes in line with Elvis being suspicious of the Colonel abusing him at this point.
And
which I'm surprised it didn't take him longer to come to. Like we said,
especially musical biopics or biopics. That's just the way that they tell the story, is through music. As long as they aren't going out of sequence and playing a song, in a year before it actually came out, which also does happen, unfortunately, in these movies.
Hey everyone, it's Lucas from the future. So here's a little clip that perfectly illustrates what he's talking about from one of my favorite movies. Nick Massey never recorded this song, but let him tell you the story through the song.
Bob will tell you it was all smooth sailing right up until we hit the iceberg with Tommy and the 150,000. That's Bob. He was always looking so far into the future, he never saw what was going on under his nose.
This movie didn't, but in these movies it can happen. As long as that's not happening, it's completely fair game, because you can't say that didn't happen that way. It could have happened exactly like that. You don't know for sure. So
there was one thing that I saw in a YouTube video that it was one of those lists of things that were different in real life from the movie. I didn't watch the whole thing, but the one thing I did see was remember when he was the Colonel was still like the Carney manager or whatever, and then he heard Elvis, thought he was black, and they did the whole fucking thing on there, and like the funhouse thing out the back. It's like,
of course,
I guess that was fake.
For
not
anybody,
fake, but it happened differently.
For anybody that watched the movie, and I don't want to insult our viewership base, but for anybody that saw the movie and thought, oh, did they really strike a deal in a funhouse and on a Ferris wheel? I'm sorry, but I just can't help you. I just can't help you for the rest of your life. That's, it's symbolism.
And like you said, it goes along with the territory of it. But I mean, I'm grasping at straws to nitpick, though. You know what I'm saying? You always have to give some kind of a negative, but like, that's really all I can think of. And the only thing that I can say was, I can't even say it was like a negative, but just something that I noticed, I guess, that I wasn't too fond of, but like, every time they had like a really CG flashy transition with like old Parker, and like some of it just looked dated as it stood. So I think they could have just done with because it was very stylized how they did all the transitions with a lot of CG. It's a
Baz Luhrmann movie.
So I guess that is his staple then, but then if that's the case, sure, fine, whatever. It's just
he does it with all his movies. But Australia, The Great Gatsby, Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet. It's his style.
Okay, so I mean,
he's very quick, like cocaine fueled kind of
which worked very good for the latter half of the movie when Elvis was drug induced for all those performances and that montage of it. Oh my God, it was very good. So I mean,
the movie is almost 3 hours long. It's 2 hours and almost 40 minutes.
The only reason I noticed it was that long is because I got the Batman situation where my ass started to hurt.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was like, oh, my ass is hurting. The movie must be long. You know what I mean? It just...
Even comparing it to Batman, though, there was parts of the Batman that dragged
30 minutes too long.
This was
just
boom,
like, I could have
boom.
I could have tacked on another 20 minutes and been fine
easily. Yep. Yep. And
Because I was
usually I
expecting
don't
more
say
of
that.
his later life. It was more of his midlife that they showed, which is I'm fine with that because Austin Butler played him fine in all variations of it.
He did, and it was definitely things were left out. A lot of things were left out, but at the end of the day,
Just correct me if I'm wrong. Like they mentioned, like the movie that they were going to film, when he was talking with Priscilla at the end, and that was going to be his next big break. They never filmed anything. I don't think they did that.
He was never in that movie.
Okay. Or
It
just
was
any of the movies.
Christopherson that was in that role in A Star Is Born.
Okay. But just even other Elvis movies that
he was offered that role. And he, according to the Colonel, at least, he didn't really want to do the movie. So he asked for top billing, and he knew in his heart, I guess, that asking for top billing in that movie was going to get them to turn him down.
No, I think actually what happened was they were gonna film a scene non-domestically out of the US so he couldn't be in the movie.
That's
a joke.
No, not really, but
that's a joke.
Yeah, people. So he was, specifically asked for demands that he knew they were going to turn down because he didn't really want to do the movie, but he probably really did. But he was talked out of it by the Colonel, like everything in his life. But again, so many things were left out of the movie, but Elvis is such a iconic figure that they've made a movie about whatever is missing from this one.
Yeah.
So there is the, Elvis Nixon movie, which was all about, Elvis visiting Nixon and their super secret meeting where he became an honorary DEA agent, which was all real, all really happened. Super crazy. Got a badge and everything. And
wow.
He, that was missing from this movie, but they made a movie about that. So, whatever's missing from this, chances are it's in something else. His relationship he had with Priscilla, that's been in other things, so they didn't really have to focus on anything. This movie was unique because for the first time ever, we're seeing a side of Elvis that nobody really knows about except those that knew him well, which was his relationship with Colonel Tom Parker. A lot of people didn't know about all this kind of stuff, and it took all the way until 1997, his death, for the abuse to even be exposed. Nobody had any clue that he was taking advantage of Elvis, back when Elvis was still alive. So the movie was unique in that aspect. It's probably a detriment to the movie that they call it Elvis instead of maybe like Elvis and Tom or, something like that, or Elvis and the Colonel. Maybe that would have been a better title for this movie, because people see Elvis and they think, okay, well, this is going to be all about Elvis's life. And it is, but, with major things taken out of it. So, maybe do a part 1 and part 2. That's my new thing, I guess.
I see that. Yeah, you say that it's arbitrarily.
I would have liked that, but at the end of the day, it was a great movie. Austin Butler did a phenomenal job. Even people that didn't like the movie loved him in it. He really embodied Elvis,
Oh, fucking so
did not
good.
Look exactly like him, which is
but
fine.
When he starts talking and singing and moving, it's like you kind of forget it.
He becomes Elvis right in front of you, literally. Like, I was sold from the trailer. I believe it was the very first trailer where Colonel Tom Parker goes, "It's very unfortunate, but it has nothing to do with us." And he goes, "It has everything to do with us."
But it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us.
And it was just the way he said that. I was like, I got chills. And I'm like, that's Elvis right there. That is Elvis. That is perfect. And it was like, he continues that feeling through the entire movie, and he sang every song in the movie. There is towards his later life, they started to mix his voice with Elvis's voice, just because Elvis started to sing a little bit differently. But everything up until that point is completely Austin Butler. And
there you go.
Especially that first one, the "Well, you may go to college, you may go to school, that was completely him without anybody else's voice. So yeah, it was great. He, did better than I think anybody else who has ever played that role, including the great Kurt Russell, so, but yeah, so it showed Elvis the man,
Yes.
the human being, rather than the, just this, larger than life icon, basically. And it is shockingly accurate. You'll see little things here and there where they'll be like, oh, it didn't happen exactly like that, or this was, not quite right, or this happened at a different time. That happens in this movie, obviously, with things. The most egregious change was probably the fact that the 68 comeback special, they, claim that it's supposed to be a Christmas special. Supposedly it was never supposed to be a Christmas special. And that they had like a Christmas set built. Supposedly that wasn't real either. They never.
And then the sweater that they were going to sell because Elvis is wearing it.
Right. Which is not out of the realm of what Colonel Tom Parker would do. Like the "I hate Elvis" buttons. That's a real thing. You really did.
I love that scene, by the way, when it just tips the mom off right away, and then Elvis thinks it's fucking hilarious and cool. And it's like,
yeah, it's so yeah, whatever. Tiny things here and there, and didn't necessarily happen. But he sings "Blue Christmas" in that special because Colonel Tom Parker did insist on there being one Christmas song at least in it. So that was all real.
Blue Christmas is his best Christmas song, so
yeah, hands down. I mean, I love Elvis Christmas songs, though.
I do too.
Mean, he's probably like, my favorite Christmas artist. That, yeah, there's nothing else to say about that as far as Christmas goes, but he's probably my favorite Christmas artist. Of course, I love, John Lennon, "Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, War is Over." And Paul McCartney, "Wonderful Christmas Time."
Another amazing song.
David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Yes, I love, Peace on Earth / Little Drummer Boy. It's great. So, Brandon, what is your score for this movie?
Yes, before I do say my score, I don't even think I did this.
Oh, who cares?
I did take the time to write Elvis. I care. The woman they cast as his mom was like flawless. You may not have looked it up, but I'm sure you will now. She looks exactly like his real mom.
Well, I mean, I have to look it up. I have to put a picture up. So
true. The dad, not so much. The dad was kind of taller, a little bit stockier, didn't have a mustache. But the mom is like, holy shit.
Very good.
Don't know where they found this woman. And they filmed it in Australia as well, if you can believe it. And really captured the feeling of 1950s through 70s America very well.
Yeah,
very well. Yeah, and they completely replicated Graceland.
Yes.
Like what the hell? They did such a good job with all that. But my score for this movie out of 10, I would say 8 out of 10.
Really?
Yes.
I think this is the first time I'm giving a movie a higher score than you. I'm giving it a 9.
Oh, really?
I fucking
a 9.
Loved it. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. 100%. In my Black Phone review, which
I can't watch yet, but I will watch.
I mentioned that movie would have been my number 1 if it wasn't for Scream or Top Gun Maverick. And unfortunately, Elvis also, it falls just one notch below the Black Phone. So it's my 4th favorite of the year so far. And it is incredible, absolutely incredible. I just, and that's awesome. I'm happy that you give it a 9 out of 10. I just, there's just a couple of things here and there I would have changed about it. Also, maybe don't send your audience out feeling like they need to go kill themselves now. Like,
oh yeah, the movie was very depressing.
My God, was it depressing? I mean, it was like, started off on such a nice high note, which that's how Elvis's life did, unfortunately. And, it's just all about Elvis the pelvis and having a fun, good time, and, girls going crazy over him. And then it's like, okay, he might be in trouble with the law and the army and stuff. And then it just like, bam, drugs and being abused by your manager.
Yeah, that's why I think that last third was a little not as developed as the middle of the movie. That's why I took that point off. But everything else was just so good.
I mean, especially, it was all factual.
Yes, but
it's not like it wasn't non-factual. And I don't know how else you would have ended it. It could have been worse. They could have shown his death. Like that would have been like I don't know what I would have given the movie at that point, but I was just so sad,
yes,
when I left the movie after the first time. And I was like, oh, I didn't love it. I had problems with it. And then the second time I saw it, I was like, I love it. But, I was borderline reduced to tears. It's just, it's sad.
Very good.
And it's hard to see his final performance as well. And
well, they did it flawlessly.
They did.
The only way you can tell real Elvis, the way I was able to tell real Elvis from fake Elvis was, Austin Butler was, the sideburns would always be too perfect because I think they were just put on. But Elvis in his actual performances, you could see little curly cues here and there, look more 70s, I would say. So yeah, no,
the quality of the camera changed a little bit as well.
Well, right when it happened, I was telling my brother, I'm like, that's a real Elvis right there. I could tell that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then again, when you get it on 4K, look for the curly cues. But no,
I kind of understand what you're saying. I mean, I noticed the switch just because I can tell the difference between, when I see the real Elvis, I can see, what am I saying? If I see the real Elvis, I'm like, there's the real Elvis right there. Like I was able to catch it immediately. And I'm not bragging. I mean, I just saw it. Like, it's like once the camera cuts away and then it comes back, and that was so moving.
Yes.
But there was throughout the whole movie, when they would show parts of his concerts and it was just the back of him or just behind his head or just his profile from a ways off, that was all the real Elvis. And there's even a moment where they're like, do you feel ashamed that you're shaking your pelvis all around? And he's like, and you see him in like an interview and he's like, I don't see anything wrong with it. And you just see from the bottom of his nose down. And that was the real Elvis as well. You could tell by his nose. He had more of like kind of like I don't know, a bit more of like
Austin Butler has much higher cheekbones.
Yes. Yeah. Higher cheekbones. Elvis's face was just wider in general.
More of a square jaw than his.
Yeah.
He has more of a narrow face.
Jaw. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's nitpick territory, truly.
Kind of like pushed in kind of nose.
Yes.
But I mean, handsome as all hell. Elvis is probably the most handsome man that's ever lived. I mean,
take it from
truly.
Brandon. He has a history of telling you this.
Truly. Yeah, I'm comfortable in my sexuality to say that Elvis is handsome as fuck.
Yes, he's a
Do you not agree?
very handsome man. Well, yes, he is. The whole time I'm like, should I like not do the little stupid fade thing and just tell our favorite hair cutter to just give me the Elvis thing? You know what I'm saying? I contemplated it, but it's too much effort.
It hurt you on such a deep level, the moment in the movie where they supposedly cut his hair for the army and they just buzz the sides off.
Mm-hmm.
And you were probably like, my heart hurts in this moment. Which that was like, it was a big thing for him to have that cut off. But
anyway, I'm gonna wrap up here, guys. I gotta get out of here and
indeed
contemplate ending it all after that movie and where I'm about to go. So
correct.
Bye, everybody.
I'm all shook up. Ooh. Ooh, yeah, yeah.
All shook up.
Yeah, yeah.